online Facebook, online Twitter. We are online LinkedIn of all weird places, online YouTube and Twitch. Still waiting on Twitch. I hope that works. Nope, you sons of bitches. Oh, it did. All right. I was just about to go Karen and it didn't work out. All right. Who we got in the house? Throw me a message in the chat room, y'all. Bonnie Burton is in the green room, or in this case, the cotton candy pink room today. We're getting ready to roll. People starting to roll into the Facebooks. Hello, all. It's better if I say it, why I type it. That way you guys know I'm actually doing the typing. Got one person from YouTube in the house. Hello, hello. All the Facebook peeps. Carol Donahue, Melissa, Richard Woodworth. Hello, everybody. Facebook's one of those things. I mean, it is the Brokeback Mountain of social media. I wish I could quit you, Facebook, but when you got thousands of people all hanging out watching stuff on Facebook, you can't quite quit. I have a beverage. It's Friday. My work week is done, sort of. I'm going to be shooting a rock video on Monday, so I have a whole weekend's worth of work to do before that hits, and it's a crazy thing. You guys will be the only ones to know this. We're going to be shooting the rock video on the stage of Evil Dead the Musical. So it's going to be kind of a crazy experience. We're looking forward to that quite a bit. Very, very fitting for what we have going on today. How's everybody doing? In the chat room, let me know how you're doing, how your Friday's going. Some of you on the East Coast, it's already full on Friday. Some of you in the West Coast are probably cheating at work, watching this with the volume down, which is always a good way to watch me with the volume down. Get to be a little bit loud. We got one Twitcher in the house. Hello, everybody. Weird. Nobody from LinkedIn has logged on to watch Monster of the Week about the killer clowns from outer space. The LinkedIn crowd is very, very serious. All right. We're going to give it a couple minutes. 4 o'clock sharp, everybody. We're going to give it a couple minutes here. 1 minute, actually. Exactly 1 minute for people to filter their way into this lovely event. We're going to go about a half an hour. Sometimes we go a little longer than this. I was talking to Bonnie before the show began. She knows a lot about this movie, you guys. So it might go a little bit longer than 30 minutes. We shall see. All right. You know what? Let's go ahead and I will chit chat while you can all see my face. Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. Welcome to Monster of the Week. If you have a beverage with you, cheers. It is the end of the work week for some. And it's not the end of the work week for me, but I still celebrate. Carol Donahue working from home. I'm on loud. Wonderful. Yeah, if they watch Sigler and Place. Sigler and Place, though, I don't know. That's more like author-centric, and then we do the other stuff, Story Smack, or we do Monster of the Week. It's not quite the same thing for people on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's, I don't know if you guys spend a lot of time on LinkedIn. It's a very business-like environment. There's a lot of motivational speaking going on, some life coaching and business coaching and leadership skills, all the things that you need to get by in life. As always on Monster of the Week, what we do here is we pimp books and talk to awesome people. My guest this week is Bonnie Burton. The book or event she's pimping this week is Agatha Christie's The Mystery of Hunter's Lodge. We're going to ask her about that in just a minute, plus her other new product, which is out. As far as the book that I am pimping this week, those of you who know my work know there's no way around this. It's got to be Bones Are White, because Bones Are White features, it's a horror comedy that features a clown. Chuckles Mulrooney, Attorney for the Damned, is in the Bones Are White collection. That's my second collection, my second anthology of my own stories, and I hope you guys are going to dig it. So before we jump in with Bonnie, let me turn this off. Let's go to our upcoming guests. Next week, we've got author Mike Cole, author of, what is it? Legion versus Phalanx, which is a huge book that was influential on my Aliens Phalanx book. He's got a new one out called The Bronze Lie, which I just got from Amazon today. He's going to be on with us. He's going to pick some monster from the Greek world. He's not sure who it is. And then on November 15th, we're taking a break. We got 2 more shows, 1 more show in October. Take a break. I got to go to a wedding. Author Gail Carriger is going to be talking about Kate from Underworld. Then on November 12th, the rescheduled Bronson Pinchot is going to be on. He's going to talk about the Wicked Witch of the West. Such a nice guy. He took it in stride when I screwed up all the tech the last time when he was on, and we got him rescheduled. And then on October 19th, Dr. Kiki Sanford from This Week in Science, great science communicator. She's going to be on. She has not figured out what her monster is, not because she doesn't know monsters, because she has built a list of 15 monsters she wants to use, and she's having anxiety attacks trying to figure out which one she wants to focus on. And frankly, that's the kind of guest we like here on Monster of the Week. Somebody who loves monsters, can't figure out which one they want to do. Let me give you the bio of my guest, and we're going to jump in here. First, let's get her off the mute part of it. Bonnie Burton is a Los Angeles-based author, games writer, podcaster, YouTuber, and journalist. Bonnie writes books about entertainment, pop culture, crafting, drawing, self-help, and humor. Her books range from making of movie books, crafts, drawing, and science books for kids and young adults. Bonnie also writes a number of nonfiction books for licensed properties such as Star Wars, Harry Potter, and DreamWorks. She also writes immersive murder mystery games for Hunt a Killer. Bonnie, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I think right off the bat, we got to ask about this Mystery of Hunter's Lodge, because usually I have people talking about a book. This is not a book. Tell people what this is.
Yeah, this is, I am a writer for Hunt a Killer, which they are a gaming company that makes immersive, like, murder mystery games.
Okay.
Where it's all in one box. I'm a horrible person. I don't have an example. If you can see behind me, it's all books, and that's normally what I read. But I have large stacks of Hunt a Killer boxes, and it's kind of cool because you can buy a retail box like off of Amazon or Barnes and Noble or Target, where it's an all-in-one box experience. Mm-hmm. Or you can get a subscription, which is kind of like Loot Crate in a way, where you get different. You get an episode each month in a box, and it all leads to one big story. So, I do have a box.
All right.
I was like, my boss is going to kill me if I don't. Let me show this. So this is monster specific. So we do mysteries and monster stuff, and it's the Blair Witch.
Oh, sweet.
Box. So it comes like a thin box of evidence. Mm-hmm. I haven't even opened this. I'm behind in my own gaming. And it's kind of like, in a way, it's like an escape room in a box, where I like to call it you're a suspended detective.
Okay. And
it's like you bring home the files you're not supposed to bring home. You know, in every movie that has a murder mystery, and and the detective goes overboard.
Goes AWOL.
Like a murder wall.
Detective's a wild card. He's out there. Yeah. He's a wild card.
They have pictures of all the suspects and like string and like theories, and then they have the autopsy report and police reports, and they have like little clues of things, like a scrap of paper that's in a code you can't figure out. So that's basically what you get. So in these boxes, it comes with a bunch of clues, and ciphers and puzzles and just weird stuff.
I like that description. An escape room in a box. If you've ever done an escape room, you know exactly what you're going to get.
Because you're not really escaping, but you are trying to find a murder mystery, or trying to find a killer. And it is kind of cool because you learn a lot. So for each story, like I learned a lot as a writer. I can tell you right now, I can't kill anyone now because my Google search.
Oh yeah. Yep. Can't do it.
I just did research on how you can kill people through makeup. Like, does arsenic work? Mm-hmm. Does liquid nicotine work? Does ketamine work? Like, there are some poisons that come through the skin, and some. So basically, my whole career right now is I'm getting paid to create elaborate murders.
It could come in handy. If we have enough time at the show, I'll tell you about my escape room experience with my wife, who was not my wife at the time. We went into a zombie escape room. She does not like zombies.
I mean, those are good first date ideas because you learn a lot about people under pressure.
You do. I learned a lot and married her anyway. So, and the other thing you have out, right, you have another book that's just out called Live or Die, Survival Hacks. Quickly tell us about this, then we're going to talk about some clowns.
Oh yeah, it's a book that I think it's out of Brecken and Meyer. It's a kid's book, and it's it's for entertainment purposes only. So don't drop your kids off in these terrains and then only give them my book. It's if you're a kid and you're lost in like the woods, the desert, an island, the Arctic, whatever, and it gives you ideas and real world techniques on how to survive, how to find water, how to build shelter.
Oh, cool.
How to make fishing apparatuses and how to like forage and all that stuff, and use stuff that's already in your kid's backpack. So it'd be like how to use comics, how to use a tennis racket, how to use gum, how to use a paper clip, how to use dental floss. It's a nerdy kid, I should say. not a typical kid. But they're gonna have things like dental floss in their backpack. But it's an educational book. It's kind of like a Mythbusters for kids kind of book where it teaches you real world stuff. And it came out right before the pandemic. And I found myself like recommending it to teach or to parents that were homeschooling their kids so they can learn kind of like Boy Scout, Girl Scout, 4-H, Campfire Girl, boys stuff. And I'm come from a family of preppers. So it's like preppers for kids.
Nice.
But fun, not scary, very fun.
The more stuff in the backpack, the better your chances. All right, let's get into it. Let's get into Killer Klowns. First of all,
okay. Let's get into it.
What made you pick these clowns for your monster?
Okay, so I'm a huge monster fan. In fact, I'm drinking out of my Alien Chestbuster. This is my Friday glass. Monday starts positive with Wonder Woman.
Okay.
And then by the time Friday rolls around, this is how I'm feeling right here.
Nice.
I'm a big monster fan, as you know, and I'm a recovering goth. And my apartment you could probably tell, looks like a cross between a bookstore, a comic book store, a natural history museum, and like the Mystic Museum. Like it's just a weird. And I mean, I'm wearing a little skeleton bread. Like I'm all about monsters and zombies. And I originally was gonna pick Godzilla because that's my favorite.
Godzilla's a man.
Killer Klowns from Outer Space. It came out in the 80s. It is such an underrated movie. And I picked it because too many of my friends have never seen it. Mm-hmm. A lot of millennials have never even
heard of it. Yeah.
It's got an amazing punk rock soundtrack. It's got amazing costumes. It's got the trippiest monsters ever. Mm-hmm. Weird ass alien invasion you wouldn't suspect. It all takes place with the circus theme. If you love the movie It, I almost find these clowns scarier.
They are totally scarier.
There's a ton of them. There's a ton of these clowns. It's not just a couple clowns. It's like a whole when they come out of the clown car and they just keep coming and coming. And there is a scene like that in the movie. There's a lot of them. I wrote down all the clowns and I still didn't get them all because they all have like doppelgangers and twins and stuff.
It's a cadre of clowns, if you will.
Oh my God. So I love the clowns. I love the music. I love the storyline. I love the comedy because I'm a big fan of, and this happens a lot in 80s horror where there's comedic moments. It's not just all dark and gritty like a lot of horror is now. Mm-hmm. Got a lot of funny moments and a lot of memorable moments, but so much cosplay ideas, and I'm petrified of clowns. And
me too.
Just sort of cemented it for me.
I can't stand them. They scare the living crap out of me.
But I love it, and I went to go to a 218 performance in LA. It was, I can't remember which theater, but they did a big screen performance of the film, remastered and everything. They brought in an orchestra to play the actual score, and then the Dickies came in and did the theme song because they're the punk band that did the original theme song. And if you know punk music history, Dickies are the main, they're icons. And cast and crew were there, and the creators of the movie were there. And then of course they all were like, and you never know, there might be a sequel. And it's like, they've been saying that for 29 years.
We'll get into sequel in a moment. But first of all, for the people at home, like of course, this is a campy classic, right? It's campy B-movie classic, but the numbers are kind of crazy with this movie. It cost $1.8 million to make in 1988. Adjusted for today, that's $4.2 million. Decent small budget movie. Global box office, including DVD sales, $43.6 million. Adjusted for inflation, $100.1 million. This movie made 24 times its production budget. By any measure, it's a smash hit. And what is it about this movie you think that makes it such a big, enduring hit that makes so much money?
I think everything I said is just its color. Pardon me, I have a bad cough. I swear nothing's gonna burst out of my chest. That I know of. The movie is colorful, it's funny, it's well made for that budget. It doesn't have any huge stars. There's some character actors that you might recognize if you watch a lot of 80s TV. But for the most part, it's a lot of unknowns, but they're doing such a great job. And nowadays if you go on Amazon Prime or streaming, there's so many just badly made, but still, it grabs my heart. Horror films, because everyone makes horror films now for very low budgets. Yep. It's all found footage stuff, or it's all shaky cam or mumblecore. But this was an era where like movies that were low budget and considered B grade horror were really well made.
Mm-hmm.
And they used every penny, like every penny.
Correct.
And you can tell. And some of the clowns' masks and outfits are repurposed. Many of the clowns have twins and doppelgangers and clones.
They really found a way. They stretched their budget quite well.
They stretched the budget, and also it's just very innovative practical effects.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's some CGI with some of the things. We can talk about.
There's not a whole lot of CGI. I was reading about it, and it is the practical effects. Like, of course, if you've watched the most recent, they're very scary. The actor's very good. But it's basically all jump scares. There is always something enduring about 70s, 80s, early 90s movies that actually use practical effects, even though they're obviously fake. The lighting, the texture, the believability of it bothers people at a deeper level. And
the music score is great. I mean, this is an era where people really cared about sound design and music in horror films. In fact, this is also an era where, horror films don't get a lot of Oscars, but they definitely get recognized for their music. Just ask, John Carpenter and John Williams, and there's just a lot of great composers. And also, I like any horror film that has punk rock music in it too. So the Dickies are always close to my heart because I was a punk rock girl at the time, and I love this movie. And also, there's just so many memorable moments that if you talk to anyone about this movie who have seen it, they all have different favorite moments. There's not just one standout that eclipses everything.
I mean, there's everything from, turning people into cotton candy and the balloon dog, but you were mentioning that you really like the ventriloquist scene of this movie.
Oh yeah, so I collect really creepy ventriloquist dolls.
Oh, hold on, let me go check.
They're usually broken.
Oh.
Like his jaw comes all the way out.
Of course it does.
Scary. Of course it does. There's a scene in the movie. Oh, we should say there's spoilers ahead.
I think after 29 years, it's fine. It's fine.
Well, I don't know. Some people take a long time to get to old movies.
There's so much to enjoy in this movie. A couple spoilers here and there is not going to ruin anything.
Okay, so there's a scene where, so first of all, a little background. The clowns are actually aliens, and their spaceship looks like a giant circus tent. And they land, and all these humans think, oh, really cool circus. They don't think alien invasion, which is, by the way, genius of aliens to do this, is to invade and have the aliens look like things that we are used to seeing, and have their ship look like something would be not too shocked to see in a field somewhere.
Circus tent, no big deal.
I mean, come on. And so they are clowns with special abilities, let's just say that. But one of the abilities that they have is they can mimic human voices, and they can mimic the voice of the person that they kill or that they are trying to attack or whatever. So they can, but perfectly. And so there's a scene where in the sheriff's office, after all the aliens have invaded and the young deputy is trying to figure out what's going on, he runs back into the sheriff's office and he sees his boss, the sheriff, who is sitting on the lap of a very large clown. I don't remember which clown it is, but the clown is using this human sheriff as a ventriloquist puppet. And you're like, oh, I wonder how he's doing that. And you don't see till the very end that he takes out his hand from his anal cavity and shakes it, and blood goes everywhere. And the guy just falls over, like the sheriff is falling over. But he literally, the clown, stuck his hand all the way up there to move this guy's jaw, which I don't even think intestinally you can do that. Like, I don't know how you. It
just depends on how far you put the hand up. Eventually, you can get it up and you can do this. It's fine. It's biologically sound, I'm sure.
That. It's one of the most memorable, scary if you're a kid. So I saw this when I was probably, I want to say 12 or 13.
Okay. I saw it a little later, but okay.
That's prime horror film age, I think. If you're a parent wondering when you should show this to your kids.
When they're 25. You think it's 12?
I'm not a good parent. I don't have kids. Obviously. Look around. I have a skeleton back there. That's my kid, I guess. But yeah, I that's a prime age for horror. I mean, that's when I saw, it was such a great era for horror.
So much. Even you watch Christine at that age, it's just everything is so new to you. You're seeing things where you're seeing horror movies and the concepts for the first time. If you watch any other possessed car, it's not as good. But
I think they said The Exorcist when I was 7.
That's pretty early for The Exorcist. which
Yeah.
I've only seen once and won't ever see again. But I could watch it if I had to. But as everybody, all my fans know, the Babadook is the one I will never watch again. I'm out.
Well,
I'm off the Babadook.
I have a problem with animals getting injured in horror films.
Me too.
So
Yeah.
there's a great site called doesthedogdie.com, and I highly recommend it. You go to it, you can search every TV show, every movie, right down to anything that's just about to come out, and it'll tell you ahead of time
Okay.
if a pet dies, an animal dies, and where it is, so you can fast forward it if you're streaming. And I find that very good because I mean it's one of those things that you can't avoid sometimes. Like I'm a huge John Wick fan, but I know how that starts. You know what I mean? Like you just But also, like if you watch Midnight Mass, there's some animal stuff. If you watch Babadook, there's some animal stuff. The poor little dog. Horror films are notorious for hurting animals. So if you are against hurting animals, I highly recommend the site.
That
just
sounds
so
good.
You,
What's
just
the what's the URL again?
Doesthedogdie.com.
I mean, between the doesthedogdie.com and runp.com, I think that is a great one. So
I mean, and also they talk about other triggers like vomiting. Not everyone wants to be vomiting.
Kyle Jacobs in the chat room. We will never discuss Old Yeller. Not one time.
Oh, yeah. I saw that really.
Let's talk about clowns. Let's talk about clowns and horror for a second here, Bonnie.
Okay.
From These Clowns, Stephen King's It, The Violator from the Spawn comics, Joker from Batman, who people forget is a clown, the clown in Poltergeist, to Captain Spaulding from The House of a Thousand Corpses, and many, many more. Creators know that clowns are scary. In your opinion, why are clowns scary?
I think clowns are scary to some of us, not everyone. I mean, I think my stepmom loves clowns. So there's people that collect clown art and clown dolls that genuinely love clowns. Clowns are supposed to bring happiness to children, but they do this weird thing, especially if you're an introvert, where they just get right in your face and they like are loud and they're pasty white. They have giant like red squeaky noses. Their shoes are too big. Their outfits are crazy colorful usually. I'm talking about like atypical clown, not necessarily, other types of clowns that are like horror genre clowns.
Right.
But they're just they're overly in your face, but also they really want you to laugh. They really want you to smile. They're very aggressive in their happiness providing, which I find a little like, you know what I mean? Like it's I'll be happy when I want to be happy. Just, lay off.
It's on my own schedule, big man. Back off.
But they're just otherworldly in a way, which I think is why Killer Clowns from Outer Space works, because they're aliens in this, but they're just, I don't know. I can't pinpoint exactly what makes them so creepy. Of course, then when you get older, you learn about clown horror films, and then you realize there's real life killer clowns like John Gacy, who's a serial killer whose side gig was a clown. He made clown paintings that people collect serial killer paraphernalia and art. They collect those. Like, there's a darker side, obviously.
Yes.
And then obviously with Stephen King's It and other films. But this one, I don't think this is necessarily a dark film. I just think it's a demented film.
This is campy and fun. This isn't really that brutal because it's so it's dark, it's scary, but it's scary in a silly way. So there is escapism within the escapism. So you don't have to go too far down that rabbit hole.
It's very colorful and clown-like. So one of the ways they kill people is with a ray gun that can shoot cotton candy, and it makes a cocoon over the human.
It's crazy.
And then they poke a straw on it, and I guess the cocoon dissolves you, kind of like an alien cocoon pod, like in the movie Alien.
It's so clever with incorporating all of the weird bits of circus life and clowns, and they find a way to put all of these things into the milieu of these killer clowns.
Well, they also, so I have a whole list of all their weapons.
Let's hear the weapons. Let's go.
Okay, so they shoot the ray guns that confines the humans either in a giant balloon, like a circus balloon, or the cotton candy cocoons, like I said before, and they put the crazy straw in and they drink the blood of the humans through the cocoon. But you don't see a lot of bloodshed. You just see cocoon and straw, and the humans
They
dead.
save a lot of money on the lack of blood effects, for sure.
They make balloon animals that come to life and attack humans. So the little dog, the squeaky. By the way, that's also a sound that drives me crazy, is balloon squeaking when the animals are being made. That's like the worst sound to me. So that's another reason I'm not. That's also why I'm not big on mimes. Mimes freak me out more than clowns. So It's just something in their eyes. They're like dead in there.
There's something wrong.
I don't know.
Something wrong.
There's something wrong. They also do shadow puppets that attack.
Oh,
and
that's
okay,
right.
So this is the big thing. So they make these shadow puppets that come to life on the wall and attack humans, but then they swallow the humans up. And, okay, this is kind of confusing and a little convoluted, but they spit out the humans, the shadow puppets, and the humans have become popcorn. And then the like movie popcorn, circus popcorn.
Sure.
The popcorn gets in like this, just in the, you know, the red and white popcorn container, where they gestate into weird snake neck, clown face, human alien hybrids.
Of course.
And then that turns into a full clown alien. So that is even more horrifying when you realize all these clowns you're seeing were probably once humans.
There's your next book, Bonnie, The Biological Life Cycle of the Killer Clowns from Outer Space. You go through and explain it.
I rewatched it last night and I'm like, why don't I remember this? Like, I was just like,
because there's so much, and people may laugh in the chat room, like Scott's going crazy in this. There is so many great ideas packed into this movie. There's so much creativity. There's so much, I'm sure the Chiodos brothers sat in a room getting baked to the gills and were like, we got to look at every element of the circus, man. And they did, they incorporated everything.
Every like clown trope. So they drive an invisible car. They also drive clown cars where they just dump out of, you know, like the whole trope of the clown car where it's a tiny car and then a bunch of clowns come out. They can squeeze. This is I think where Stephen King may have gotten some of his like,
I got to think of the dates. I think it might have been out. I think it came out 90 or 91.
Okay. So the clowns can they can transform their bodies to hide inside thin pizza boxes.
Of course.
And so when you open the pizza box, they spring out. They throw cream pies, but they're acid cream pies. So if a cream pie hits you in the face, which is a clown trope, it's like that. It's like alien acid, like from the movie Alien. It just kills you. It's just like not radioactive. What do you call it? Like just
acidic. It's like hydrochloric acid.
It burns you to death. They also have lethal paper whistles, you know, those like and as I said, they were skilled ventriloquists, but they have weird skills. So they can jump super high distances, they can cut off and regrow their hands, their heads go all the way around, and their shoulders can go all the way around. What are some of the, and there's just like and if you want to kill them, this is genius. If you want to kill them, you have to guns don't, like bullets don't kill them. Right. But if you aim for their rubber nose and you hit their nose, they burst. They basically put into confetti. Yeah. And like of course they burst into confetti. That's more of the constant, like just brilliant idea with a very narrow context. The Chiodos brothers came up with brilliant ideas to incorporate into this. But there's a zillion clowns in this movie. Like I said before, there's like, you know, your main ones like Jumbo, Fatso, Shorty, Rudy, Spiky, Slim, Beepo. Like they all have like clown names, but it just keeps going. Because I was trying to write them all down last night when I was watching the movie. I'm like, how many freaking clowns are in this movie? There's a lot. Yep. Because not only, because again, like I said before, they're trying to repurpose some of the face molds and the costumes. So they have twins. They have twin brothers, or they have doppelgangers of their twins, or sometimes there's just like 4 of the same clown in different outfits. I should mention there's also 2 female clowns whose boobs get bigger and smother. Very disturbing. Very disturbing. I remember seeing that as a teenager and like, whoa, hold on. Rosebud and Daisy. And Rosebud. I think there's a tiny clown called Shorty. There's just so many clowns. All right. Let's talk about we got to talk about this. So we're talking about a movie that made 24 times its production budget. Massively popular, has enduring longevity is redundant, but it's an enduring movie that people are still talking about to this day, 3 decades later. There has been no sequel. So I'm going to talk about why they say there's no sequel, and then we'll talk about that for a second. According to Screen Rant, despite Killer Clowns from Outer Space becoming a cult classic, 31 years later, no sequel. The sequel is called Return of the Killer Clowns from Outer Space in 3D,
been stuck in development hell. The Chiodo brothers have explained that they have a lot of ideas for a sequel, but haven't been able to move forward on it. When the film got a DVD re-release a few years back, they thought it was going to spark new interest for a sequel, but it is officially not happening now. When Disney acquired 20th Century Fox, Return of the Killer Klowns from Outer Space in 3D was one of the many films that Fox was planning on making that Disney canceled. Is it just too dark for Disney to make a movie and cash in a couple mil?
I understand that because, I mean, you have to also remember back in the day, Disney owned Miramax, which is where that's all the Tarantino movies. So it's like Disney's owned adult stuff. I don't know why suddenly they pretend they've never released a horror film under one of their imprints. But it's frustrating because I think it's such a fun movie. I would be a little nervous if Disney got a hold of it and tried to make it family friendly, the sequel, because there's a way you could probably do that because you just don't show bloodshed. You just make it be weird, deaths. Kind of like a Goosebumps kind of thing, which is fine because, I mean, there's nothing wrong with those movies and TV shows, but I don't know. Disney bought a lot of horror films that I feel like they're just going to die on the vine. Of course.
You're right, because their goal is everything they make, they want to make it to some degree family friendly so that content can wind up on the Disney Channel and do all the streaming. And they're just, if it's hardcore horror or even scary in any way, that's not content that they're going to reuse. It's going to be.
Like, I think you could. I don't know, because I'm a big fan of Beetlejuice, which is that's kid friendly, and that's not necessarily gory, but it's got scary elements. And that's what I kind of see Disney would do with this, is kind of make it a Beetlejuice-esque kind of vibe, which wouldn't be bad. It just wouldn't be what the fans want. And the fans want a sequel. But also you have to remember, anytime a movie's made in the 80s and a sequel comes up decades later when the world...
They'd have to reboot it. They would have to reboot it first.
Like, how would you even do that? You couldn't even do it the same way. I mean, I would love it if they did it the same way they did in the 80s. They feel like there's an audience for that, but...
I, for one, cannot figure out why Disney does not want to get behind a franchise where a mutant clown shoves his hand up a sheriff's ass and makes him talk like a puppet. I don't get it. That screams Disney to me. It's like Mickey Mouse right there.
It's not a political movie when you think of it that way, because then it's like all cops are puppets. But yeah, anyway. No, it's hard too, because also, I mean, I'm in the filmmaking, I worked at Lucasfilm for 10 years, and I worked for writing books for DreamWorks, and I've seen how the sausage is made, and I know how decisions are made, and I've done freelance for Disney before too, and I understand their point of view, and I get it. And a lot of filmmakers, or a lot of studios now, especially huge ones, the big monolith studios that own everything, they want stuff that's already got a built-in fan base that will go see anything with that name. And I think Killer Klowns has that fan base, but it's not big like Avengers fan base or Star Wars.
If they can turn Cruella de Vil, a dog murderer, into a sympathetic character, it's ridiculous that they can't do something with the Killer Klowns from outer space.
Reverse John Wick, where the Dalmatians killed her entire family. Like, how?
It's insane. All right, we're gonna go over a little bit about how the movie came to be. You'll get some finishing thoughts, and then we are going to move on out of here and go watch clown movies. So, of course, the movie was written, produced, and directed by the Chiodo brothers. There's a band named after them, a hardcore rock and roll band, very good. These are the same guys who did the Large Marge claymation from Pee-wee's Big Adventure. They did the FX for the Critters series, which is really fun. How the movie came to be. One day, Stephen Chiodo found himself entertaining a spooky hypothetical. In a thought exercise, the artist tried to come up with the single scariest image he could devise. He imagined himself driving up a lonely mountain road and someone's passing him on the left, and when he turns to look to see who it is, it's a clown. That would make me poo my pants for sure. When he brought the idea to his brothers, his brother Charles came up with a twist. What if the clown was actually an alien? And what if it wasn't driving a car but levitating over the ground? The brothers converted this premise into a feature-length movie script. Once Transworld Entertainment greenlit the art film, Steven stepped up to the plate to direct it. So this whole movie came from Now you're in the movie business. You've written screenplays, multiple screenplays. You've been in pitch meetings. You've pitched stuff. Yeah, I'm sure you've come up with, here's the pitch. Here's the story deck. Here's the series Bible. It's everything you could possibly want to know. It's right here for you. And then you hear about guys like this going to me like, hey man, what if you're in a car and you look and it's a clown passing you, but he's not in a car, man. He's floating. Oh, and he's an alien. And somebody's like, make that movie. How do you feel about that, Bonnie, as a movie creator?
I wish people would say make that movie, but I have been in pitch meetings before where I have like 2 really thought out pitches with a deck, you know, and a whole PowerPoint presentation and all that stuff. And then at the end, they're like, what else you got? Do you have something with clowns? Do you have something with werewolves? Do you have something with vampire? Like, do you have something with a talking monkey? Like here's the thing you got to remember about Hollywood. And not necessarily all horror films, because there's a lot of great horror films that are self-made, self-produced through Indiegogo or Kickstarter or what have you. And there's a lot of very small, independent horror movie studios that do amazing jobs, and they don't necessarily have to go through the soul-wrecking experience of pitching major studios.
Yes.
But I will say, it's one of those moments where you realize you think you've had a great meeting, and you think you're going to make this the next great Killer Klowns from Outer Space type movie, and then you are ghosted for like
it's the way it works.
Months on end, and then you find out the person that you had a pitch meeting with who was going to greenlight has now moved on to another studio and is doing like corset romance movies. Like he doesn't, you know what I mean? So it's like you have to be strong to be in this business. You have to be tough and resilient, but you have to have a sense of humor. You also have to realize there's a lot of horror fans out there that have money. And there's a lot of studios out there who want to dip their toes into horror, but aren't sure how, aren't sure what they want to do. And then also I would say it's a genre that's really open to women being writers, directors, producers, creators, makeup, like everything, like practical effects, special effects. So at least the horror genre is very special in the sense where there's a lot of fans. There's a lot of ways you can make your favorite movie, and you don't have to go through Disney or Sony or Paramount or whatever. But when you do have to go to those pitch meetings, just have other ideas in your back pocket.
Get ready to go.
It says, I will pay you a lot of money to do a movie where clowns accidentally crash a plane and you have to do a TV show on that. That could be the next Lost. So just say yes to it and then figure it out as you do it. Like I'm a big fan of just saying yes to everything and then figuring it out later. And if if it doesn't see the light day, it doesn't see the light day, but at least you're trying. But yeah, whenever I hear about the origins of certain horror films getting made, I'm like, how did that pitch meeting go for Killer Klowns? Like,
depends on who you're in the room with and if they've got money or not. That's really, if you're
you can think of other movies that are not based on books or comics or video games in the horror genre. Like, how did that happen? Like, I love, What We Do in the Shadows, but I would have loved to be in that pitch meeting. It's like, okay, it's like The Real World meets The Office. But
I think that one sold in like 30 seconds.
I mean, come on.
With the guys making it, I think that sold immediately.
Idea.
Bonnie, thank you so much for being on the show. We'll go back to the chat room scene here. People have been very active. Shakes the Clown starring Bobcat Goldthwait. Comment from Jason in the chat room. He was cool. One cool clown. Out of all the nasty clowns we've had mentioned, one cool clown. But Bonnie, tell us real quick again where people can find out more about you and where should they go check out The Mystery of Hunter's Lodge.
So I think Mystery of Hunter's Lodge, it's based on an Agatha Christie short story, but we changed a lot of it. So even if you're a fan of the 1923-25 short story, the ending's different, the killer's different, all of that. Okay. It's a box that I don't know if it's going to be on Amazon, Target, or Barnes & Noble, but one of those. It's probably Amazon. It comes out October 25th. And if you want to learn more about the games, go to huntakiller.com. And there's a whole bunch of, we have mystery games, but we also have horror ones, like the Blair Witch one that I talked about briefly. Also, if you want to find my books, you can just look up my name, Bonnie Burton, on Amazon or Powell's or Barnes & Noble, wherever you like to buy books. I highly recommend going to your local bookstore and ordering my books there instead of Amazon, just so you can support bookstores so they don't just all die out like dinosaurs. If you want me on social media, I have the same social media name on all my social media. So it's Bonnie Girl. It's just my first name, Bonnie.
We got that up on the screen for him right now.
GRRL. And the reason it's GRRL is because I have the website GRRL.com since 1996.
That's amazing.
And I'm pretty sure the design reflects that. I don't think I've updated it in the aughts yet.
Yeah. Hopefully you've got some Zap Dingbats fonts on there somewhere. That would be great.
Yeah, there's a lot of like construction shovels and like, remember the animated GIF of the envelope to email people? Yeah.
It's all good.
If you like retro animated GIFs, you're going to love girl.com.
All right. Bonnie, thank you for being on the show. That was very fun. And I will catch up with you later on the social medias. Well, there's your guy. Bye. That's disturbing. Goodbye. All right, go back to Maine. Hello, everyone. And now, yes, let's go over the guests we have coming up. That was very fun. I was stunned when I learned how profitable the movie was, $100 million. And if you haven't seen Killer Klowns from Outer Space, highly recommend you get a beverage of your choice, kick back and watch it. It's really, honestly, a well-done movie, and it's so dripping with 80s. If you were an 80s kid or a 90s kid, you will absolutely eat it up. Let's go to who we have coming up. I've got a big fan in the chat room of Bronson Pinchot, who will be on November 12th. He's a delightful human. We're very excited about him. Next Friday, author Mike Cole, author of Legion versus Phalanx, author of The Bronze Lie, author of many great, those two are nonfiction, author of many great fiction novels as well. He's going to be talking about a monster from the world of the Greek myths. We don't know which one yet. And then on November 5th, we've got author Gail Carriger. She's going to be talking about the leather-clad or vinyl-clad, depending on how you look at it, Kate from the movie Underworld. Then we take a 2-week break. We're back November 12th with actor Bronson Pinchot, who's going to be talking about one of the greatest villains of all time, the Wicked Witch of the West. And on October 19th, the queen of This Week in Science, Dr. Kiki Sanford, and she has not quite decided what her monster is going to be yet. Happy Friday to all of you. If you are having a beverage of any stripe, cheers to you. Give yourself a cheers because you deserved it. It was a long week, and now I am going to say goodbye to you. We'll be back next week with Mike Cole, and until then, go have your ass some cotton candy because you don't exactly know what that